Commanding Cash Success Club. This is Kathryn Perry, and I have on the phone with me Asara Lovejoy. Hi, Asara. How are you doing?
Hi. I am just great, Kathryn, and I am so excited that we're talking about clearing your beliefs and increasing your cash. We are going to go through the 10 most strong beliefs that limit and inhibit us from being cash rich and increasing our cash. I know we just have such a fabulous telecourse ahead of us this evening that I can hardly wait to get started. So let's do it.
Okay, well, we're just going to dive right in, and my computer is just a bit slow, so forgive me, everyone. Now, I want to let everyone know that this is a two-part call. At the end of the call, we're going to be letting everyone know what the next date is and how to access this call. But in this part one, we're going to go ahead and cover those 10 main beliefs that are keeping you from creating money, what's really behind those beliefs, and why you really do have the power to change. And, of course, we always make sure we have some fabulous commands to help support the teaching. Next week, we are going to be, or in the next section, we are going to be covering how to uncover your own beliefs or programs, how to stop those inner arguments with your good, and how to instill new positive feelings. And what I want to let everybody know is that how to use this call. Sorry, this is so important because sometimes people get in on the call and then they go, yeah, that was great. But this call is really meant to meet you at different levels. And it's best if you are just opening yourself. If there's a thought that comes in that you want to make a note of, don't try to copy every word that we're saying, because the link that you use to get this call is the same link to access the recording. And we want you just to open yourself up to the ideas and get in the transmission with us. Then listen to the call again and make your notes. But mostly it's important to be present to the call and just let the ideas come in.
That's right. And then you also can listen again and again and again. And so we want you to absolutely listen to the calls more than once. There is so much information here that we are involved in. And, you know, we're reprogramming and reformatting your biology, your DNA, your belief system, and it is a process. It's a process of change. Every time you listen to the call, you go deeper, you get a quantum experience of an aha. Your biology is changing, and it is our intention to totally support you in going forward and having your great success.
I think it's so important that people understand that when we're dealing with consciousness, there's an expansion process. When you first hear it, there's a level that you're able to first understand it. But I can't reiterate this enough, to listen to them again. There's calls with Sarah. I've been listening to some old calls because we're putting together some things. And I was with you when you were recording a lot of these, when you were teaching them in the seminar, and they might have been recorded like 4 years ago, and I still get new information, and I still come into that process. There's an expansion where I went, oh, now I understand. Oh, wow, I missed that part. So
yes,
listen
totally.
to these again and again. Yeah, it's like water. It comes right to where you are. But let's dive right in. We have got a lot of ground to cover. And
okay.
We always talk about clearing our beliefs. People, you know, we hear that all the time. We want to clear our beliefs. As soon as we get rid of those nasty beliefs, get those guys kicked out of the way, then we'll get to have everything we want. But I think it's really important to understand what your beliefs are and how we came to those beliefs. And what people need to understand is our beliefs are simply what we are telling ourselves about our experience. And we're going to go more into that tonight. So some of the top 10 beliefs that we hear in our X amount of years of working with clients one-on-one at all the seminars, the first one has to be I, they, or it will never change. It's always been this way. It's always going to be that way. And it doesn't matter, I'll hear it's because it's the way it is with women, or because we're Norwegian, or because we're born here or there. But that is a belief. The next is, it's not possible or probable. That's one of my favorite ones. Oh, it's just not possible. It's not probable. And Asara, I always love when you say, what if it's just as true? It were.
Yes. What if it's just as true that it is possible, that it is probable? Yes.
That's right. The other would be, oh, it's too hard. It's too hard. I can't do it. It's too hard. Next is, if it's easy, it doesn't count.
Boy, you got a on that one. We have to work hard to earn it. If it's easy, it doesn't matter. If I didn't suffer when I did it, then I wouldn't have earned it. And that is so programmed into so many good people in our culture and around the world that you are really having to pay your dues. How many times have you ever heard that as a child and as an adult? And you have to earn your way. So when we're talking about commanding cash from a whole nother level of consciousness, from the quantum field, from the capacity that you have to become that which you are, then it's easy and it's effortless when it shows up. And so we really are going to deal with that belief big time so that it becomes easy and it does count.
Yeah, and then the belief that some people have the knack or they have luck, but I don't. And what they have and what you don't have is, well, I actually might reverse that. What you have and they don't have is an inner argument about why it's possible. People who are lucky have simply decided that they're lucky. There's no more probability for a person to have luck than another person to have luck. They have done study after study on this.
Yes, that's true. And I remember one gal that was a client of mine, and we were talking about her good fortune, and she said, Asara, every day I say, luck brings me a goodness today. Luck brings me goodness today. I know luck is on my side, and luck is in my life as a natural part of my life. And she absolutely believed in her good luck. And she had so many stories to prove it. She would talk about the stories of the parking place opening up, or having more money in her bank account when she went, or being lucky that somebody told her about a job that she was after. I mean, incident after incident from that genetic programming, that she has the DNA programming of believing luck is hers. And so that, boy, I don't know, we got so many programs here today, Kathryn. I think we should, take a little bit more time. But no, that's a belief, right? We're going to do all 10 today.
Yeah.
We can do it easy.
You know what? Because it's not the beliefs. Everybody thinks it's the beliefs, but it's beyond the beliefs. And that's what we want to move everybody past, is the beliefs. And so the next is, I'm too much. I'm just too much. Or I'm too little. Or I'm too old or young or set in my ways or inexperienced. The other I hear is, I just can't figure out the right thing to do. It's a mystery. I'm confused.
I'm confused. Yeah, we could add that. I'm confused on there. That's I'm confused. If I only knew what to do, I would be a success. Money would come to me, but I can't. I'm confused. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, and those very same people, by the way, I just want to make my side comment to that, are the same ones who will sit down and tell you exactly what you should be doing. They seem to know for everyone but themselves.
Yes.
They're the ones holding forth in the coffee shops and chat rooms about what everyone else should be doing. Okay. They're driving cabs and cutting hair. But anyway, the next is I had it once, but lost it. Or I've never had it, so I can't have it now. And we've talked about this before, Star, because you've got to experience having fortune and riches, and this is a paradigm that you and we had this argument back and forth for a little while. I said, well, you've had it before. You know how to get it. And then, but I've never had it, so I don't know how. So that's my excuse. And you said, yeah, but I didn't know how to keep it. So we're really the same. It doesn't matter. It was just what I was telling myself. And this was a big one I had. I might achieve it, but I'll just end up losing it anyway.
Yeah.
And then, and then I'm just not good enough. And if any of those are resonating with you, I just want to just pause and check. If any of those are you, I just want you to, on the phone right now, press *2. If you're listening in by the webcast and you go, yep, that's me, tell me which one is yours, and it might be just let me know which one's resonating. And because I want you to make a mark around that one, and I want you to think about that one and notice how it feels as you're thinking about that idea, about why you aren't creating your wealth. Now, just as you are thinking about that, I bet you're starting to have some memories, a story will come up, and then you're just starting to notice, hey, you're not feeling so good when you think about these beliefs. And really, what we're dealing with is not the belief itself. What's really behind all of your beliefs comes down to plain old fear. That's all it is. And we don't necessarily think it's fear because there's things that maybe we're brave about and things that we get out and do, and we wind up having to slay a lot of demons and make a lot of stuff happen. But what keeps us in that paradigm is fear. And the fear is another way of keeping us inside our comfort zone. Now, this is more than just a mental state. This is our neurology has gotten set up to operate at a certain level, to operate within certain parameters. And anytime we start to move beyond our comfort level, it feels bad. It feels scary. And then we might say, well, I don't want to move out there because maybe it's the fear of the unknown. But the truth is, you can't know what would happen if you don't make the change. You can't know what would happen unless you make the change. So we're going to examine some of these fears. And simply put, our fears are our beliefs about what we are telling ourselves about what we're feeling. It's initially an emotion. You hear Asara and I talk about this, that there's decisions we made when we were small, powerless, at the effect of others about who we are and what's possible and what our role is. But initially, what's underneath all of that is an emotion. And Asara, I know you just want to jump in on this piece right now.
I do, because a couple of things that I think are really relevant to processing the fear of change. And the fear of change means this to me. If you say to yourself, I'm stuck, and if you find yourself being thrown back up into one of those beliefs, for example, the belief that you'll never change, circumstances will never change, or it's not possible, or it's not probable, if you find yourself circulating back into that emotional feeling and thought state, then that belief is, that fear is the door knocker. It's the eye-opener. It is the messenger that says, here is where I am stuck. Here is where I have a limit. Here is where I do not know or understand any other experience or possible experience. We are stuck because in fear because we have not trained ourselves to open up to a new experience. So the very first part of answering fear is to command that you identify what it is that is one of those beliefs that is explaining the fear, follow back onto the fear itself. You're afraid of change. You're afraid of leaving the comfort zone, and the reason is that you don't have any idea of what you can replace this emotion with. The body wants to keep the emotion that it's used to, even when it's negative, depressive, and limiting. The body wants us to be in that familiar emotional state. So when you become self-aware and awakened to your own power of your own ability to change your brain and to change your biology and to change your level of fear, you start looking at your experience of life and your hesitation, your limits, and your ideas of your limitations as the message. Don't look at it as the enemy anymore. You see it as the message of what it is that is your limiting ideas that you want to replace with open ideas of a new reality. And an open idea of a new reality simply is saying, I don't know how I move my energy into a new idea replacing this fearful idea. When you start that process of replacing an idea, you'll dream it, somebody will speak it, all of a sudden you'll have an epiphany of an aha of, oh my gosh, I could do it this way, or I never thought about that, or look, this is an opportunity that's coming my way, or this is something I've always wanted and now it's here in my life. How do I take advantage of it? Right, Kathryn?
I love that the fear is just a signal. And I always view it as a request for more information. And when I go, oh, I didn't know I was afraid of that. In fact, sometimes I didn't know there was something I wanted until I was wanting it for someone else or I was talking about it, and I find myself giving that person all the arguments that I needed to hear in order to move forward.
Yes,
So,
and let me, yeah, totally. And let me share some of the other symptoms. Some of the other symptoms of knowing that your fear is behind the idea that you don't have another idea to go forward to is when you keep circling around and circling around at the same level of engagement with a problem. So if you've had the same level of engagement with a problem for 10 years, you know that this is one area of your life where you could command that you have a different experience of cash in your life. If you've had 10 years of lack of cash or 20 years of lack of cash, then you command that you have a new opportunity, a new opening to know something new. You must know something new. You cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again. And what we teach is that you know something new already. It's within you in your greater intelligence. It's biologically hardwired within you. And if you command, I don't know how, I know something new emotionally about my ability to create cash. I only know I know something new emotionally in my ability to create cash. I don't know how I reduce my fear, close my receptor sites to fear of making change in a new way. I only know I make a change in a new way now and open to more and more cash in my life now. And I'm just saying this with such love because the anxiety over allowing yourself to open to a new idea is breathtaking in a lot of ways for many of us when we're just captured in the same circle of thought. And I've come across it many, many times where very dedicated, wonderful, courageous people are suffering. And it's the inability to allow themselves to have a new idea of what's possible for them, that they can move forward and not hurt people that they're leaving behind, that they can move forward, and in that courage of moving forward, I mean, there's one belief in here that you mentioned that's particularly that it's easy and it does count, that it can be easy. You know, that recycling and recycling and recycling and struggling is really tied up with the fear that you don't deserve it and it's an ingrained program. So now we want to lovingly and respectfully say, let's look at what's behind the emotions of these feelings of fear. Go ahead with that, Kathryn.
Well, and one thing I want to add to what you said that's so important, I want to make sure that everybody gets on that circulating. The beta brain will try to jump in. The mind wants to help you solve the problem. And then it will say, I know what I ought to do. I know what I should be doing, but you still can't do it. The truth is, the reason you can't do it is because you honestly don't know how. You honestly don't know what to do next. There is a gap in the knowledge that you have at that current level of thinking. And you're making yourself wrong, and what's locking it in even tighter is another emotion on top of the fear. And so it's fear on top of shame and regret, and then this gets into this big ball, and all of this feeds that circulation. So what we want to invite you to do tonight is to stop that shoulda, woulda, coulda thinking and make that decision right now to meet whatever that belief is and to meet that fear. And we're going to help you with that. That's why the power of the theta brainwave is so incredible, because it takes you right to that portal of your greatness. It takes you right to that place that has all the information. So let's go ahead and look at those main fears that we're dealing with. We are dealing with, and they're very primal, the fear of rejection, of being punished, blame, of failing, ridicule, letting others down, and we might even add leaving others behind, loss, hurting others or ourselves. Is there any that you would add in there, Asara?
No, I think you got it. I mean, the punishment, rejection, blame, shame. Do you have shame in there? Yeah, shame.
Well, shame is actually, and shame is because we didn't move past our fear, because we weren't able to achieve it, because we failed. And we're afraid of being ashamed. And that's almost puts that back. To me, I've started kind of seeing it as like a backward spin, because we are moving backwards rather than moving forward.
You know, I wanted to talk about let's stick on this for a little while, okay? Because in these fears, one of the things that we end up doing is making agreements that are manipulative. We go into to avoid being rejected, punished, blamed, failing, being ridiculed, letting others down, losing out, or hurting ourselves or others. What we do is we make manipulative agreements with ourselves. And we also make, we surrender integrity. We surrender a level of integrity by making a manipulative agreement. And an example of a manipulative agreement is, let's say you're going through asking a boss for a raise, or going through a divorce, or trying to beat somebody out in a sales contest. So in your mind, if you were going to ask your boss for a raise, you would see him as opposing you. And so you would say, I can't get a raise because X, Y, Z. And you're going to go through the feelings of rejection in advance of how your boss would oppose you and how you would be rejected. If you were getting, say, in a divorce, I can't really say what my feelings are because now my partner may not sign off on my house. I may not get the settlement I want. So you're in fear now. You're fear of speaking your truth. And what was the third example I used? The boss and the divorce and
the boss, the manipulation, the boss. But it's just, and then you're still coming from the sneaky kid. You're going into these manipulations and these strategies that we used as a kid to get what we wanted because someone else outside of us has the power. That's what we're perceiving.
Exactly. And the truth is that when you have those fears, you create the circumstances. you're putting all that energy and you're vibrating in that energy of that experience. You are so powerful as masters that when you are afraid of these circumstances, that I gave you an example of losing out in a divorce or not in a sales contest, that was the third one, that you have to, really work hard and overpower and dominate the other person, or circumstances of making yourself the best salesperson, or getting the for other people. Now, we want to take you and actually say, okay, this is a reality that we've been living all our lives, that you've been living all your lives, but there's like a dividing line where now there's another channel over here. It's another whole reality channel that you can start to tune into that has a different operating system that gets you different results. When you are confident of telling the truth because your integrity and your alignment in your heart and your confidence and your peace of mind are absolutely in harmony with, I don't know how I deserve a raise and I receive a raise. I only know I deserve a raise and I receive a raise now, and my boss is on my side. Now, when you start commanding that, you're commanding the circumstances that also exist as a potential in reality. So we're talking about the quantum field, that you want to go into the field of potential. This is what all of those affirmations and the vision boards and the law of attraction and the secret and everything is wanting you to understand, but they never told you what you're up to and how to get it. What we're telling you you're up to is you literally are creating a reality potential for yourself. You're creating the negative reality, and you experience that negative reality of no cash, boss maybe not giving you a raise, not getting what you want in a divorce settlement, not being the top person in the sales contest. You're creating that reality by concentrating on it and being afraid of it and running through your scenario of how you'll fail, look ridiculous, let others down, and let yourself down. And that's what your concentration is. So those are the emotions that your body is running when you are in that fear-based thought form reality. And we are saying, we're chunking this down so you completely understand that the way to stop your 10 most powerful limiting beliefs is to step outside of the circle of that influence completely into the unknown of a new reality. That's where we're headed. All right. I got it out, Kathryn. Go, girl.
Oh, I am so glad. Woo! I'm sitting there going, go, Asara, go. I mean, it is so powerful. Stepping outside, because this is an important piece. So many people, because of the drama of what's happened to them and the drama of the story, and even in the positioning, maybe you tell them as funny stories, which I told, but yeah. I was really just making excuses. I had told the most hilarious stories, and everybody loved it, but inside I was crying because I knew it didn't have to be that way. And I really wasn't being honest that there was a way I wasn't showing up for myself. And what I really didn't understand until I started studying with you, Asara, was how quickly we could make change, and that really we're designed to make it. And so tonight we really wanted people to understand why they really do have the power to change. And I will never forget. I know. I'm just like, I will never forget the day I got it, and it was in your hypnotherapy course, and you were explaining about how intelligent you have to be for a phobia to take effect or a compulsion, because it is in a moment in an instant, and a very simple, oversimplified explanation about what a phobia versus a compulsion is this. A phobia occurs when there is this experience of heightened pleasure, and in the middle of that pleasure there's a traumatic event. It could be we're at a party, suddenly a snake is seen, and someone screams, "Ah, snake!" and you go, "Ah, snake. And because of all this high pleasure, yeah, then suddenly there's a phobia of snakes, and we must avoid, our entire existence becomes ordered around avoiding that pain. Okay? Now, compulsion happens when there is intense pain going on, and suddenly there's this pleasure. There's a release. There's a release of dopamine of actually what's happened. And it could be something like with self-grooming or soothing, or you were able to find order. And what the brain does is like, I need to get that hit of dopamine again. And so it sets itself up to get that pleasure. Okay?
So it goes through the intense pain to get the pleasure again, the intense pain to get the pleasure again, the intense pain to get the pleasure again, because you have to have the whole psychological scenario for the body, mind, brain, and the emotions, your emotions, to get that release of the dopamine. And it takes more and more intense pain to get more and more release of dopamine over time. So let me just use that as an example in terms of cash and cash consciousness. That let's say you grew up really poor, and so you know what poverty is like. I've had so many people that, and if you have never grown up poor, that's fine. You can just relate to this with a little bit of distress of maybe not having everything you wanted financially when you were a child, or being told no a lot financially. But there are people that literally ate potatoes and lived on clay floors and went for 2 or 3 days without any food. And so they have intense pain around poverty and lack of cash, because money would have bought them food, or energy for trade of some kind would have bought them food if their parents were able to provide that for them. Now, when they get older and they go out into the world to work, they often find themselves in a repetitive program and pattern of having a very hard boss, or getting a job that's very difficult, and having difficult circumstances repeated, and then get a little relief, just a little relief by a nice paycheck. And then they're really happy. But then, after a while, if you have a consistent amount of happiness, the unconscious compulsion says, gosh, we don't have enough dopamine, therefore we have to create bad circumstances to get that good high. We've got to create that low to get that good high. And now you find yourself with a broken down car, or you find yourself with losing that job that was giving you nice steady income. And you're in that circle of this compulsion repeating itself over and over and over again. Now, when I'm saying this, it sounds so much like you really have no authority over your own life, that you are basically programmed from childhood with these programs of compulsions and addictions in your thinking, and how do you get out of them? And it's true that many, many people live life suffering in this cycle, and that the One Command program is here to say you can break that cycle of suffering, because you also, inherent within you, can get that pleasure of that release of dopamine and that intense pleasure of satisfaction of more cash without the pain and the suffering, by commanding that you open to a new possibility, to a new idea, to a new experience of having life be easy. And you must simply give up everything you think you know about the way that you're creating reality and creating your cash. So you have to let go of your story of suffering. You have to let go of your childhood experience of poverty, or just basic frustration, maybe, if you had a good family where you didn't get everything you wanted. That you've got to let go of all those little pieces, lovingly and respectfully saying to them, thank you, you've served me enough already. Now we're going to go into making a change. And now, Kathryn, you got information about why that's possible.
Right. well, often it's only shame and other negative emotions about that condition that locks in the behavior. It's the shame about not having enough money. It's the shame about the fact that maybe you're bouncing your checks, or the shame around the fact that you maybe lost it, or that you're struggling, that you have this idea of what you should be able to do. Again, that beautiful beta brain trying to help you. But when a new decision to accept alternatives to getting that what positive intention that negative behavior supports, I'll explain what this means in a minute, then the compulsion and the phobia will disappear instantly. What we're able to do with the one command is we bring all of that neurology that's running to a pause. And it says, oh, there's actually more power and energy when my heart, my mind, and even my stomach, with that beautiful brain that's right in the pit of our stomach for our gut instincts, when all of those are working in harmony to consciously create this feeling of safety, love, support, of having enough, that I can create that in an instant, it will ditch those negative behaviors in a heartbeat. And both Asara and I have cleared phobias. I have done it in probably 10 minutes. Issues that people have had for years, OCD, all of these things, which we can't diagnose, but we can certainly alleviate the symptoms. But they're coming into a new decision about who they are, what they need, and their capability of creating it. That's all we're talking about. And as you've heard Asara say a million times, and I found this picture, I just think it's beautiful, it is our hopes, wishes, and desires that truly let us know who we are and what we're capable of. It is not your fear that defines you. It is not your experiences or your environment. Those are only influences. What really defines who you are and what you're capable of are those hopes, wishes, and desires. They are communicating to you every second. And then, as those thoughts, those images, those ideas come in, you go, yeah, but, not me, not yet, not now. Or your beta brain will lovingly say, oh, it's not you. You don't have the luck. Don't put yourself out there. Just stay here. And then you'll watch your opportunity go by, and you turn on yourself again. And this is the time to stop all of that and to meet yourself in a courageous, loving way, and to tell the truth about where you are and how you created it, and to come to that new decision about what you want to create. Next week, Asara and I are going to be unveiling a command and a way of thinking that you have never heard of. So you're going to want to make sure you stay tuned. And if you'll remember, you've heard this said before, but I'm hoping it's starting to sink in, that the theta mind is that repository of all our hopes, wishes, and desires. So as we connect to that, it's not only where we're keeping it, it gives us the information about how we can achieve it. It unlocks those skill sets. It changes our language, and we start meeting ourselves in a whole new way. Sorry, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Oh, no, you just said it beautifully. I just am still resonating with your simple statement of how you want to meet yourself in a new, loving, courageous way, and stop what you've been up to, what we've been up to in the past, that here's the opportunity. When I discovered that opportunity to change myself by my own biology and neurology, to be able to say, you know what, I can go into the theta brainwave and work with my old programming. Oh my gosh, what a gift, what an opportunity. I'm so excited. And you're on the call with us in this ongoing membership because we know it takes time. You're changing a belief in a moment. You're changing what you command to change in an instant. And you've got billions of neurology, billions of synaptic processors in there that are running a lot of these unconscious programs. So we want you to be generous with yourself to say that you're going to do this through one action at a time and enjoy the action observe your feeling state after you make your commands. Notice what happens to you during the week. Keep a record, if you can, of the things that you notice that show up new for you in your life, and realize that you are empowering yourself right now to go forward in a new way, seeing new results emotionally with all levels of your being. Letting go of old harms and hurts from the past, of old life circumstances and stories, and coming into those hopes, wishes, dreams, and desires that are yours, that are your blessing of yourself. I like to tie in the life purpose here. People say, what's my life purpose? And I say your life purpose is to live well, is to live in harmony and peace, and to enjoy whatever expression of yourself you're engaged in the moment, and to be in the power of your own ability to create. And some people you want to create millions, some people you want to create thousands, and that's plenty of cash for you. Some people you want to create financial stability and a sense of well-being in cooperation with a nice lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle. Some people you ready to be out there in the world in huge ways, being discovered and seen and known in massively new ways. And so each and every one of you is approaching this from your position in the universe right now. And your position of where you are right now is the perfect place. You're in the perfect place to make these changes and to start generating new feelings, emotions, and ideas and opportunities in you to allow the world to have them show up. And I do, want to say that even now in our economy, the economy and the economic news in the world news of the economy is not high. It's not hot. It's not radiant. It's not giving us positive input and saying there's a lot of opportunity out there. So that is something that you also are able to step out of when you go into your theta mind and your greater intelligence, because there is a flow of good cash and good financial resources and good income, even in the most difficult of circumstances, because you literally are masters of creating reality. So I think that if we're all here in this boat together and that we are having these world conditions right now, I think you should just start giving yourself an A+ mark right now, because you're a master being that's chosen to be here right now in these circumstances. You wouldn't even be here right now if you didn't know you couldn't take it on. And so you've already chosen at some level of your intelligence, of your biology of being born during these times, that you are taking this on to make a change and a transformation, not in the best of circumstances, but in kind of awkward, difficult circumstances worldwide. So give yourself credit for that you already are here. You know what I'm saying, Kathryn?
Oh, yeah, I do. I mean, you already must be a master being if you're born in this day and time. I mean,
Exactly.
You could have been born back in cave times. There was no internet or jobs. It was just survival. How do I, avoid the bear, or you're not born during. And any old wimp can make it through good times. Anybody can be happy in good relationships. You came in this time to meet something even greater inside of yourself. And Asara, I almost feel like I could jump up, get my tambourine, and just kind of go into this, because this is the best time, I would say, to ever be on the planet. This is the best time if you don't have a job, there was a long time that there was no such thing as jobs. And we created our living, and it's more than having $1 million. Put yourself on the other side of what it is that you want of the money. Focus on creating that, and move your position around, and let yourself get into your creative brainwave. Asara, you commanded for a new idea, and a new idea arrived. I am blessed with millions of ideas, and I needed to command on how to take the right action. And so it doesn't matter where you are. Get out of the argument with it and get in alignment with the solution. Asara, you know what? You and I are just already connected into the energy of the group, and let's just do a convergence of commands for everybody. And your job as the listener is to just open yourself up to letting these commands come in. So I'll go ahead and walk everybody up.
Okay.
First, I want you to just ground. Allow yourself to come present into your body. Settle in. Yes, and yeah, there you go. And just imagine that you're like a tree and you have long roots going deep down into the earth. And you are connecting in to the richness of the earth that's already here. And let those roots go just a little further and connect into the undiscovered treasure that's waiting just for you. And let's begin to draw up that richness of the earth's wisdom, its strength. And bring that attention up into your heart and that love you have in your heart. And as you're coming into alignment with your purpose, allow that love to light up. Just let it become illuminated and expand 360 degrees around you. And yes, let that light of that love in your heart even shine on your deepest, darkest fear. And let that light chase away the darkness. Roll your eyes up and picture, visualize, or imagine that you're traveling up a golden pole of light. And the higher you go, the faster you go. And soon you're whizzing past galaxies. And as you bring yourself into the black void of space, reach out in that blackness and pull it away like a heavy black velvet curtain, revealing the luminescent white light of pure potential into a whole new probability. Eyes up. I don't know how I meet my fear with honesty and courage. I only know I am courageous, and I am honest now, and I am fulfilled.
I don't know how I ask for a new field of opportunity. I only know I open and receive a new field of opportunity in my biology, my emotions, and my mind for my cash success now, and I am fulfilled.
And I don't know how I lovingly, tenderly forgive myself for giving into my fears. I only know I am forgiving myself now, and I am releasing myself of shame programs now, and I am fulfilled.
I don't know how I embrace my greater qualities, my qualities to adapt, to adjust, to make new decisions, and to see new possibilities. I only know I command that I adapt and I adjust to new possibilities in my life. And I focus on the new opportunities and possibilities as my greatest reality. And I diminish my fear-based thoughts and feelings now. And I am fulfilled.
And I don't know how I came to be so flexible and adaptable. I guess I'm just lucky. I only know I am flexible. I am adaptable. And luck is my friend now, and I am fulfilled. Ooh.
And I don't know how, when I get the results I'm after, I keep it I keep my cash. I keep my new relationships. I keep growing and expanding in my greater and greater capacity of joy, love, cash, and success. And I am fulfilled.
And I don't know how my friends and my family grow with me in consciousness. They grow with me in their capacity to be in relationship with me. I only know I am open to being loved and accepted and in excellent relationships now, and I am fulfilled. And let's just expand all that out. Let your eyes relax and expand that out to an idea even greater that serves even more good, that takes you into a whole new sphere of understanding. Whew. I was just felt the whole group just kind of like, woo. And so now let's just feel yourself coming back into your body and unwind, unwind, unwind. Oop, there goes a consideration. There goes a worry. Oh, there you go. Just let that go. Unwind, unwind, unwind. Let that go all the way down to the bottom. Let your body unclench. Let those cells release those old programs. There it is. And now we can rewind, rewind, rewind. A whole new state of being, whole new potential.
Whole new grace and ease.
Oh, yeah. Whew. Yes, yes, yes. Just breathe into that. Be present to yourself. Bring your attention back to where that fear was. Good, good. Let that light come in. There we go. Now just feel that little scared part of you coming up into, there it is, right into your heart. And now you can get a better look. There we go. Let's ground into this. I just felt all these little kids, like, I want to see, like, all of a sudden, like, just that feeling. I was like, okay, let's come take a look.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah.
Play around in the delight of the moment. Play around in the opportunity for your greater growth and your greater good and your greater change. And just, we love you so much, each and every one of you that are engaged in the program. We love the energy that you're bringing to the idea of your own empowerment, your self-awakened empowerment, of your ability to have the life that you desire. That's our wish and our hope and our prayer, is that by engaging in your own greater intelligence in your theta mind and commanding change for yourself, you're not only affecting yourself, you're affecting great change in the world at large as well, and that we're bringing peace into the actions of the right actions of yourself and others by operating in another dimension of reality. Oh, that sounds like the old Twilight Zone, right? Another dimension of reality, but it is true. This reality that you can operate in exists. It's as true and as real as the one that doesn't give us what we want. We want to step out of it and into the new reality, and we're doing it together. I love you all, and God bless you, and we'll talk to you on our next call, and I'll see you then, Kathryn. Good night.